Hello guys and welcome back. Today I'm going over everything we know about the potential Borderlands 1 remaster, what the community wants, and if we will ever see it. So with that, let's get right into it. Early on in 2015, the Borderlands Handsome Collection was announced by Gearbox Software as their newest bundle of games. Gearbox packaged together Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel along with most of the DLC for both games, and ported them up to the current generation of consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One. The price though still reflected that of a current generation release, new at $60. Obviously as time went on, the price dropped, but fans still loved it. The remaster edition raised the frame rate of both games on console, added a frame of view slider, allowed 4-person split screen co-op, bug fixes, and so much more. But also, it just brought the community together again. But over time, new fans were picked up by this game and by this series, and because of this, a lot of the newer fans wanted to return to where the series started at Borderlands 1. The series is known for the cel-shaded graphics, which is a huge benefit as it keeps the game from falling behind graphically, but most fans were out of luck unless they owned a PC that could play Borderlands 1 decently. Because Borderlands 1 to this day is still only on last generation consoles such as the PS3 and Xbox 360, which for a lot of people was not really an option. Either they did not have the last generation console still, or they just didn't want to run the game on them because they didn't run right, they don't run that good, and they were kind of buggy, and it's really hard to jump back a generation. So players looked to Gearbox if they would ever think about remastering the game. Many of the biggest Borderlands creators at the time, Gathalion, Baru, Morning Afterkill, all made videos rallying the community around the idea and pressured Gearbox to say something. The voice of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford, came out and told the community at PAX South that he, quote, doesn't want to announce things anymore unless he knows for a fact they're going to happen. Cough, the 4-story DLCs for the pre-sequel. Then he goes back. Sorry, that's just another tangent. That's a whole nother video. Quote, however, we want to say that he loves Borderlands 1. It'd be awesome to get the game on next generation consoles sometime. He continued saying that if the Handsome Collection is wildly successful, that it will increase the chances that the investment can be made. So it was no direct promise to the community, and there was no way to hold Gearbox accountable for anything they say. We don't know exact sales figures for how well the Handsome Collection sold, and even if we did, Gearbox are the only ones who can dictate whether it was a success or not. So fans still fought on for the remaster, but with no real momentum. Then in 2016, we got a tweet from Randy Pitchford in response to a fan asking if there were any new developments on the Borderlands 1 remaster. Randy Pitchford responded, quote, we are really focused on Battleborn and some other future things at the moment, which is now Project 1v1 or potentially Borderlands 3. And then he goes on to say, it's not impossible, but it's not a priority. Now, content creators and key community members have a lot of different thoughts and ideas on why Gearbox is hesitant towards remastering Borderlands 1. Some believe that if Gearbox ever does remake the game, they will do more than just fix bugs and upscale the game. They'll also want to rework the weapon system and add the weapon gimmicks. So if people decide to pick up the remaster version of Borderlands 1, the weapon system will seamlessly move from one game to the next. Obviously, there's no substantial proof of this, and I don't know how much of this I actually believe. I know sometimes Gearbox doesn't listen to their community, but if they change Borderlands 1 more so than bug fixes and a few other changes, I think the community would lose it, and I hope they're smart enough to not do it. So even though it doesn't look like we'll be getting a Borderlands 1 remaster, unless it's some sort of surprise announcement, maybe as a precursor to the announcement of Borderlands 3, you know, just to build up some hype back to Borderlands, we can still just hope and hope that Gearbox will eventually release it, and they have been working on it. Obviously, this doesn't stop current YouTubers from still making videos on it, and like this video you're watching right now. But on the off chance that Gearbox does watch this video, I've compiled a mini list of some of the things that the community and I personally want in a Borderlands 1 remaster. I separated everything into different categories on chances of happening. So first, we need to go over what is needed. First off, they have to fix the FOV. A lot of people can't even watch Borderlands 1 videos anymore because the frame of view is just too messed up and doesn't fit right and you're way too close. I mean, if that's all you know, like if you're a console player and you're just used to it, it's not a big deal, but then once you are given the option, you'll appreciate it. Next, the game has to be 60 frames per second at 1080p. If the consoles can run Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel at this, then it's definitely possible for Borderlands 1. Also, they should add split screen for the console in general, and also a 4-person split screen. The game also just has bugs and can be better optimized. As long as they don't touch the armory glitch, that's not a bug. It's working as intended. Leave it in there. If Gearbox ever touches that, community would be so mad. Next is shop and inventory improvements. A lot of people in the community want to be able to mark things as favorites, as trash, which is just a small feature, nothing crazy. And also, I think everyone can agree that we want to remove having to confirm every purchase of ammo, health, and all the minuscule things that take up so much time in Borderlands. Also, we want auto pickup for ammo, health, and money, which is something we've become accustomed to in the later games. Next, this is another really small thing. People ask a lot about having class mods actually reflect onto the skill trees. So if it says it's going to boost or add 3 points into a skill or 2 points into a skill, people want to be able to see that on the skill trees like they can in Borderlands 2 in the pre-sequel. This is another thing. I'm not too sure about this one, but it's really heavily requested in the community. It's being able to crawl and fight for your life. I mean, I've gone back and forth on this. It's kind of one of those things that make Borderlands 1 special, but I get why people want it. Another thing is people want a swap stash so they can switch gear between characters, which makes sense, nothing crazy. And I'd say one of the biggest ones is being able to reset playthroughs. So if you didn't know, once you beat Borderlands 1, there's no way to reset your playthrough and play through everything again. So you basically just have to make a new character, or if you're on PC, you can kind of gib and edit around that. So those are just a few of the basic things. There's obviously a lot more, so let me know what you guys think is definitely needed, and then we'll move down to the next category. I have ambitious. So first, I say update the texture and graphics and make it truly feel remastered. This one's a lot more difficult. Obviously, Gearbox will have to put a lot more work into this to upscale it and actually make it a lot better and make all the environments and everything again. So, I don't know. That's why it's in the ambitious. Next is adding the canceled weapons back into the game, just to make it feel extra special and something to just bring older players back as well, which if you don't know was like the grenade launchers and everything like that. There were a ton of weapons that just didn't make the final cut, and I would love Gearbox to just kind of like fix them and throw them in like at this point, just so people can play around. Even if they're not the greatest or strongest, it'd just be fun and give new players and old players alike something to do. Something else that's ambitious is adding a melee proficiency for Brick. This actually is something I've never even thought about till I started looking it up and doing research for this video. But I can get, if you're a melee Brick, why you would want this and why you would want the little boost up if you're only using melee. So that'd be something cool, but definitely a little more on the ambitious side. And next is fixing the level scaling in general. There are a lot of areas and a lot of places are locked by certain levels, don't scale right. You can be 10 levels above, 10 levels below. So that's something, it'd take a lot more work for Gearbox to fix, and it's not one of those things where it just kind of makes Borderlands, but that's just what I think. Next, I have the maybe column, which is kind of between what's needed and ambitious. It's definitely not anything important, but more fast travel stations. DLCs like the General Knox DLC made it really hard to farm for certain weapons like the Ajax Ogre. Me personally, I don't really think this is super necessary. Like, the whole part of it is kind of driving around and exploring, so I don't know. Next, people also want a Linux port. I'm not too familiar with all that, but people ask for it, so there's that. And another thing that I don't agree with at all, but it's super up there and requested, is the minimap change, which the minimap is the way it's always going to be in Borderlands 1. I don't think they'll ever change it. I know it's really annoying, but it's just one of those things. It's a Borderlands thing. And then small fixes that wouldn't take that much is make bosses respawn and farmable, such as Nine-Toes Skags, Mad Mel, King Wee Wee, Janus Cobb, The Destroyer, Dr. Ned, Zombie Dr. Ned, Hyperion Super Bad Trooper, Default, Cluck Trap, Rack Hive Trap, a bunch of those. And something else is making the Jacob's vending machine stay activated after completing the quest in the Zombie Island DLC. So there's all that. Let me know what you guys think. What do you want in a Borderlands 1 remaster? If you could have anything, do you guys think that a Borderlands 1 remaster is gonna come? Or are you guys just waiting for Borderlands 3 and you just think Gearbox should focus on that? Even though they could outsource a remaster. Let me know all your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.